Hola a todos y a todas, ¿cómo están? Bienvenidos, bienvenidas. Welcome everyone. I hope you are enjoying this talk. Por ahora voy a hablar en español. Cuando venga Master vamos a hacerlo en inglés. Pero quiero darles una súper cálida bienvenida. Gracias a quienes están tomando el tiempo de acudir a esta llamada, ¿no? De último momento, pero tan especial, tan memorable, de esta charla con preguntas y respuestas de Master del P. Quiero contarte un poco de él. Es el autor de este libro fabuloso llamado Alquimia Sexual e Intimidad Divina, que tuve la fortuna de poder traducir. Y te quiero contar lo que nos cuenta sobre su expertise en esta materia. Máster del P es un sabio moderno y es un mentor de vida que ha viajado al menos por 40 años a más de 100 países. Él es el autor de 12 libros y es un experto en psicología esotérica, en ciencia esotérica, en tecnología espiritual y en alquimia divina. Él ha enseñado la ciencia y el arte de la sexualidad de manera internacional ya por más de 20 años. Sus enseñanzas no tienen paralelo y esto viene porque él integra lo mejor de las filosofías orientales y de la sabiduría de la sexualidad con respecto también a lo que se enseña de la ciencia, de la sexología en el estilo occidental. Máster del P ha enseñado muchas especializaciones que tienen que ver con artes marciales, 12 estilos de meditación, 8 tipos de yoga y sobre todo es un experto en medicina energética. Es un experto mundial y el fundador de un sistema avanzado de sanación llamado Visual Science, que incluye también la sanación rápida de enfermedades y de disfunciones sexuales. Él ha fundado muchos institutos, entre ellos el Be-Life Institute para la conciencia superior, también el Instituto WIT para la sanación de enfermedades incurables y el Instituto Wilga para la sabiduría en el liderazgo y el avance global. Así que, bueno, quiero invitarte, espero que me puedas escuchar. Eh, Sin más, voy a hablar ahora en inglés y tenemos la traducción simultánea. Si es que tú ves que Master del P habla o aparece en inglés, pues, y no entiendes el inglés, puedes ir a buscar en el icono del globo el idioma en español. ¿Ok? Quiero darle la bienvenida. Thank you, Master del P. Welcome, Master del P. And thank you for coming with me to this
Hello,
talk.
everyone. Welcome to our talk today. And it's focused on how to use the power of sexual energy for your well-being, your longevity, and even your happiness and your spiritual awakening. Those who are attending as couples or those who are interested on the sexual aspect of it, not just the longevity and the spiritual aspect, you can also talk about those questions and we will deal with them maturely. I'll be opening the conversation by allowing you to ask questions because this crowd has so many variations. There are couples, there are unmarried people, there are celibates, there are people who are divorced, and there are many varieties of this group. So for me to be able to deal with everyone's needs, I need to extend a lot of your topics to your own questions yourselves. So don't be afraid, don't be ashamed to ask questions. This is a mature crowd and we'll handle and tackle the questions properly without hesitation. All right, so to open it, let's have questions from the crowd.
Master, before, one question that everyone was doing is why the sexual energy is so important and powerful in our lives, even if we don't know about it.
Well, first of all, it's very important because you are not incarnated without it, okay? All of us are not physical because our parents had sex or had some intimacy or romance or intercourse. So that's first, you have to respect that. You say, oh, I don't want sex, but how can you get incarnated without your parents doing sex? So that's first, respect for that, okay? So do not say, oh, I don't want sex. Okay, then you will switch off your life because you will not be incarnated. Second, The fire that you are burning to make you alive is dependent on the sexual energy. Without the sexual energy, you will be dead by now, because the warmth of your skin, the warmth of the organs, the ability to be toned, the density of your bones, to prevent from osteoporosis, the prevention of wrinkles are all depend on the sexual energy. And it is related to the fire in the belly, as they say. The fire in the belly, the energy in your bosom, in your sexual area, the heat that you feel when you put pressure on you to pull weights or to exercise, are all dependent on the sexual energy. The less sexual energy, the less life. That's why as we grow older, there's more weakness in the legs, there's more weakness in the bones and muscles, and there's less resistance to fight diseases, because the sexual energy is the burner. It is the warmth that gives us life and life force. So in yoga and meditation and esoteric parlance, this is connected to the Kundalini Shakti, or Kundalini, or the sacred fire. The sacred fire does not function on its own without the sexual energy. The sexual energy is the lubricant and the medium by which the Kundalini, or the sacred fire, or the fire in the belly, brings itself to different parts of the body for longevity, for health, and for awakening spiritually. So it's very important to understand this. The more you shut off your sexual energy, the more you have diseases. Because if you suppress your sexual energy, the energy becomes stale and old and congested at the sexual region. When that happens, you can experience prostate inflammation and even prostate cancer, or ovarian cancer, or cervical cancer, or any kind of myoma, fibrosis and fibroids, and even cysts and tumors in the uterus. So these are facts, because I heal a lot of people with cancer of the uterus or prostate. And these are people who are suppressive in nature, sexually speaking. They are either no partners, or they were guilty of sex. Even they had sex, they start to shut it off by feeling bad about it and thinking that sex is dirty. So it is detrimental to our health if you are a celibate without transmuting the sexual energy periodically. If you are a celibate, or you are not a celibate but you are guilty about sex, the energy will get stuck in the sexual region, causing diseases. That's why a lot of my patients who were used to be nuns and priests and monks and yogis, gurus also, they have prostate problems and ovarian and I would say fibroids growth in the uterus area. So not having sex is not good if you have a lot of sexual energy, because it becomes a disease. If you have too much sex also, excessive sex, you will be atrophied and depleted and becomes withered and dried up, because there's no more energy to bring the fire in the belly, and the sexual and the Kundalini fire will not be able to distribute into different parts of the physical frame and into the brain and into the mind and so on. So these are all not too good to have too much sex and drain yourself. Not having sex, or suppressive sex, or guilt about sex, that doesn't also flow the energy. Congestion, this is depletion. So sex is very important as a concept to understand for everyone, whether you are old and not having any more sexual energy, or whether you are young and having pre-ejaculation, or young but not having able to achieve orgasm, or young but you're very guilty about sex, or young but you are a celibate but you are so guilty about the vow of celibacy, and so on. So these are all things to be considered when we talk about sex. It's not just the act of having intercourse. It's the health, the longevity, and the diseases prevention around it.
Thank you, Master. And many people, many, especially women that are connected today, some of them don't have a partner. And what will be your recommendation? What will they benefit if they go to the workshop?
Well, if they are happily unmarried, then continue being unmarried happily. It's better sometimes not to have any relationship than a bad one. But if you are aspiring to be a celibate, at least you have to know how to transmute and sublimate the sexual energy upward so that it does not become old and stale in your sexual region that cause diseases, as I've mentioned. So there are many techniques which we teach celibates and solo individual without partners that can use the sexual energy to improve your sex appeal, your power of your presence, your power of charisma, your power of sales, and presenting yourself as a very likable person. And you can use it also to make you happier by bringing that sexual energy into your heart so that heart has a lubricant to feel joy and happiness, and it will blossom and make you feeling open in your heart. Or if you are a spiritual practitioner and you don't have vices of smoking, alcohol, or drugs, then you can use this to awaken the power of your soul. The soul needs that sacred fire. And the sacred fire is brought by the sexual energy to the top of the head, to the crown. And this will link you to the soul as expansion of consciousness. When you see the caduceus, with a wing and a snake and a wing spreading out on the top of the caduceus, the staff is the energy that brings the sexual energy upward like a pipe. The snake is like the Ida Pingala, as they say it in meditation, which is the feminine and masculine side of the substance. And when that is balanced and you alchemize the sexual energy with the Kundalini energy, that substance will go up to the head and it becomes like a wing or a crown expansion. So that wing is a symbolized when the energy expands, it looks like a wing energetically. So that will awaken the power of the soul to evolve into an expanded state of consciousness. And that also brings intuitional powers, wisdom, psychic powers, the ability to develop your, I would say, connection to the soul to bring higher ideas to your mind and into your consciousness. And that makes you advance as a thinker, as a visionary, and as a philosopher, if you want to be a philosopher. So I think a lot of these things are missed by a lot of single individuals with no partners because they think that you always have to have sex to have pleasure and orgasm. That is also true as a basic duty to everyone's partnership. There should be a kind of pleasure, romance, intimacy, and sexual pleasure experience. And that is supposed to be a part of your reward if you are engaged with somebody who is connected to you, not only physically and sexually, but emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. So if you ever look for a partner, you need to know that the criteria by which you would say that you are really a lifetime partner is that you have to connect also to the mental, emotional side, not only the sexual side and the spiritual side, so that you will evolve together, not just satisfy yourself sexually with some orgasms in the beginning, and then suddenly you're not satisfied anymore because you are preoccupied. You don't have as much romance anymore. You're busy and you're tired. As you grow older, you feel that you don't have any more the zests, the vitality, and that appeal for sexuality. So you have to put a calibration to you being single, that it is a blessing to be single if you know how to use your own creative adaptation. Now, for those who are single who have a lot of sex energy, in my school, we accept people also to masturbate or self-pleasure, because if you don't do that, again, you will get sick in the long term because you will have a lot of sex energy that is bottled in the growing area, which causes you first to create toxic energy eventually there. Second, to be jittery and nervous. And third is to be unhappy and, I would say, a little bit irritated a lot because you have more sexual energy than what you need and you are not able to release it. And you're always like shaking your legs, and people look at you are nervous because you are unable to release some of your substance in the growing area or kundalini area.
Thank you, Master. And we have more questions now from people. So Joanna is asking, if your sexual libido goes down, does it mean that you have a blockage or not necessarily?
If you what? Can you repeat that, Beatrice?
If your sexual libido, your sexual desire goes down, it means
Oh, the libido, okay.
Libido,
if
yes.
your libido or your sexual desires goes down, it's normal. There's a cycle of life that you are very sexual and then you're not sexual. It's governed by your cycles. In the middle of your birthday to birthday, you tend to be most sexual. It's called the fourth cycle arousal of kundalini and sexual energy. The more sexual energy, the more kundalini that feels that you are hot or sexually active. But there are times that you are more mental. If you're more mental, you have less focus on the romance and the sexual energy. Therefore, you're like the Einsteins. They are focused on their work, and you don't have time for romance, neither you feel sexually aroused. That would take time to make them more, if you have a foreplay, that would take more time for foreplay than other times. And there are times also that you have lower energy and most stressful time of the year. So at that time, if you were more stressful, lower energy, the sexual desire is also less, especially at a certain age where you are losing your testosterone in men, you have erectile dysfunction, and you are not interested anymore because either you have lack of confidence that you're not able to be erect, or you are unable to perform. So you're starting to feel that you are escaping sexual act because you don't want to be known that you are more impotent or, I would say, dysfunctional. Another thing for women is when they are guilty about sexual energy, even they are supposed to have more sexual energy, their mind is not able to focus on sex because they are guilty about it. Or emotionally, you suppress yourself because you feel that you are still a virgin or you're still unmarried, so you don't want any sexual connections, which is natural for some religious groups like Catholics. You're supposed to be virgin until you get married. Same with Islam and so on. So if you have a lot of self-limiting beliefs or your own belief that does not allow you to have sexual energy before marriage, therefore you have an escape of not thinking about it as part of your vow or your pledge. There are also people now in the United States who have the vow of or pledge of virginity, like very Christian groups. So they have a pledge of virginity for children and teenagers. And of course, they indoctrinate them that they're supposed to have sex at all until they're married because they get punished by God or they go to hell or something like that. So that would definitely suppress more the sexual energy, and the libido will be not their attention. But there are women who are in the menopausal stage, 40 plus, and they have hormonal imbalances, and some of the hormones does make them imbalanced to either be stressful, agitated, or imbalanced with mood episodes. So you don't want to focus on sex if you're getting angry and irritated because that's not your focus. So that also disturbs the sequence of romance in relationship when you are in a menopausal stage. That's why you need to prepare yourself with sexual orientation, with sexual sublimation, with sexual health manipulation of your energy, so that you are not able, you don't suffer when you are in the menopausal stage. Your sex is still healthy during the time, whereas your other friends were having imbalances, hot flushes, mood episodes, If you are healthy sexually, even you are 50, 45, you're still fine because your energy is still always metabolizing and flowing. So the idea is really to allow the sexual energy to flow all the time and not to get stuck or not to get depleted or not to get congested. The flow, life is a flow. Whoever can flow in and out will always be alive. For those who don't want to flow, they are going to die. Inhale, you exhale. You drink water, you urinate. Eat food, you excrete. That is the flow. If you have sexual energy from the earth and from your own connection to humanity, and you do not flow, it's like a high pressure water and a closed valve. There will be a time that it will leak and have problems, or it becomes highly pressurized. It will eventually become stale or old water. So for those who are losing libido, if you're old, that's normal. If you're a woman, even younger women these days, because of stress, pressure, insecurities, self-defeating beliefs about their life, they're feeling not good enough, the lack of something, or lack of confidence, they do not focus their energy to promote performance and sexual romance. They're busy fighting out those shadows. They're fighting the demons of their own beliefs. So if you are busy fighting up your own demons and your own limitations, you don't have energy for romance and for intimacy. You need to eliminate those things that are against vitality and rejuvenation so that your energy is composed to be able to deliver a good performance during lovemaking. Okay, so celibates or non-celibates, this still affects you.
Thank you, Master. We have also a question coming from Tanya. She said, I am very happy with my partner, but I would like to know if we have this practice of the sexual alchemy, it will bring more abundance, like more materialization. And if I can do this by myself, or I should teach my partner, or is enough that only one of us takes the workshop?
Okay, if I understood, it's how do we apply materialization from sexual energy or something like that, with or without a partner? Okay, if you have a partner, sometimes you have to tell your partner that today I don't want to release, I would just want to enjoy and preserve my sexual energy and go to that pleasure point where you are not gonna release, like at 90%, 95%, when you're almost having orgasm. You can, circulate the energy and preserve the energy, because that energy is so powerful to bless your desires, to bless your programs and projects and goals. That will be so empowered materialization technique that you will speak of something and they tend to happen. You can predict things and they tend to happen also. So that energy where you do not release through orgasm is a powerful conservation energy that allows you to manifest your goals, because your substance is so magnetic that when you are negotiating, people will just go to you, or they will say yes to what you're saying, because your energy is so magnetic. So that ability to conserve your sexual energy, not always to have orgasm, is one technique to be increasing your sex appeal. If you always release, your sex appeal decreases because your magnetic energy that people connect to is dried up. That's why a lot of movie actresses, actors, they used to be with luster, with vibrancy, with dynamic energy when they started. Once they get excessive sexual releases, they started to grow old. That's why you look at the entertainers and actresses, musicians, singers. When they start in the industry, they're very robust. They look so good. They're so magnetic. After a while, if they're overexposed to drugs, smoking, and alcohol, and over sex, they started to wither. They started to look so old. And suddenly I said, how does he look like that now? Too old. Like if you look even at Celine Dion, because he's always using his voice and sex energy, at the later stage of his life, he looks dried up. It's one example. When I scanned the energy when he was younger, the energy was, of course, by age also, But if you over sing, and you over sex, you will dry up the magnetic energy, which is the warmth, the silky feeling, and that magnetic feeling that makes people feel good around you. So you need to use some of the sex energy as a magnetic appeal, sex appeal. Have you seen people who are, they're not really beautiful and handsome, but they just have that charisma to attract you and want to talk to them. And when they're talking, you get involved, talking for 2 hours, and you did not know that time passed by? Because they are like magnetic people. And there are people who are beautiful, good looking, but they're not so looking good because they don't have the energy to attract you, to draw them to you. So sex appeal or magnetic appeal is so important in your work. And if you're sales, if you're marketing, if you have a relationship, they need to feel your warmth. They need to feel your connectivity. They don't want to feel anyone. People do not want to be with people who are dried up, who are sulking, who are no energy, because the energy goes to people who are very low. So when you are with people who are very sulk and no energy, you feel drained because your energy goes to the person when they hug you, when they're around you. Energy is like water. It seeks its own level. It brings to the level where they are. So if they're very drained people, you feel that they're extracting your energy by even without intentions. So it's good to have a good energetic level. So do not over-release your sexual energy. Secondly, money and the base chakra, the chakra at the base of the spine, the energy center, and your navel. Your navel is the center for instincts. These two chakras depend on the sexual energy for lubrication. If the sex energy is dried up, the navel and base chakras are very anemic. They don't have much energy and warmth. Therefore, your physical frame and tonality of your muscles and bones depend on your base chakra. When the base chakra is depleted and dried up, because the sex chakra used a lot of that energy when releasing orgasm, your body and your muscles starting to weaken. If you look at a person with osteoporosis, they have very weak base, sex, and navel chakras. That's why their bones are less density and there's easy fracture. Secondly, when you do not release a lot of your sexual energy, you can bring it to the spiritual self, to the soul, to expand the soul's consciousness, to grow. So you are using the sexual energy for expansion of consciousness, if you know to use them. See, this is important, if you know how to use it.
Okay? Yes, Master. So we have more questions for you now. One easy question is how, if we, let's say, get teenagers, what will be a recommendable age that they will be okay to be signed up in this workshop of sexual alchemy or start learning about it?
Well, the LGBT, they're already enrolling everybody, even young people have a consent to have sex if they want without parents. That's like crazy to me. But 18-year-olds, 17-year-olds, and in fact, even younger, if they were more advanced soul and the parents are amenable. In Italy and also in Europe, I had a lot of classes that their parents bring their own teenager children so that they will be educated. It's better to educate them early than if they have premature pregnancy and then you deal with the problem later. So they will understand sexuality in the healthier way, and they will expose them to techniques that they will eventually perform when they're older that will save them from having diseases and both ways maintaining spirituality and so on. So if the parents are open, they usually bring their teenagers in my class. So with people in Brazil and also Puerto Rico. So these concepts are healthy for children if they were more open, not to feel that it is just for sex. Because the class is not just really for sex. Otherwise, I would have sex education. I said sexual alchemy, divine intimacy is a topic that is more sacred. It's sacred sex. It's a sacred use of sexuality and the energy of the Kundalini. Another thing is, for teenagers, they really need a certain degree of education to not only focus on sexuality. They can transmit their sexual energy to become very brilliant and creative by bringing the sexual energy to the brain, by bringing the sexual energy to the mind and to the heart. They will be very happy and very brilliant. The problem is sexual energy is overused in teenagers, especially with hypersexual compulsive behavior in some teenagers. They drain their sexual energy and there's nothing more left for the brain to work. That's why they mentally fail in their school. They do not focus their studies because they already dried up. There's no more sexual energy left for their mind and their brain to think. So it's very important for them not to overuse the sexual energy in just having pleasures. They need to conserve some of the pleasures and bring it to the brain for their neurons to get activated, for their head chakras to be awakened.
Master,
Okay.
thank you. Yes, we have more questions. So one person, other Beatriz, is asking, how do you transform sexual energy to be more magnetic and appealing? She is also asking, how does porn, means pornography, affects you at energetic level or your relationships?
Well, today most people are looking at pornography as like a escapism method, so that they will first enjoy like good-looking women, good-looking men, instead of feeling bad about their bodies and their partner's bodies. They're like enjoying somebody else. They're projecting their own enjoyment by another person's performance, like a movie, like a gladiator. You enjoy your aggressiveness by looking at people fighting each other. Same with pornography. So when people are very extroverted or abnegated to anything outside themselves, they would rather be looking at somebody rather themselves as a projection of success or good looks. Now, the problem is the energy of most of those people are also very contaminated. They are maybe vice-laden actors performing sex in pornography, or they are dirty-minded, emotionally blocked people who are performing sex. And that contaminates the people when they masturbate and they imagine the person doing it with them and so on. So that also is energetic connections to the actors or actresses who are doing the act. So they get very contaminated when they do that. And when they become obsessive in nature, I found a lot of my clients in India, even in the US, the engineers, the IT guys, they prefer to watch pornographic film than having sex with their wife. And it becomes an obsession and a disorder because they don't want any more to have sex with their wife. They don't have any erection when it is about their wife. But when they see women and the pornographic scene and men doing sex with them, they get very excited immediately and they release very fast and so on. So a lot of people today, they have this perversion that is in the hypersexuality to pornography. And it becomes like they dry up and they get contaminated. So when people use pornography to get excited, there's a point that they will not be excited with their partner anymore. Especially if the parents are growing old and they're looking at the young women all the time in the pornography, or young men. So it's starting to affect their ability to gauge where they are, and with their partner, they should still enjoy whether they're older or not, whether they have gained weight or not. They should focus on themselves rather than on the good-looking actors and actresses.
There is a secondary question also from Bea saying that does a sexual fetish mean that someone has a sexual blockage, actually?
Yeah, we are looking at the workshops to include the healing and unblocking of sexual problems. So a big part of our seminar is first to clean and sanitize people's blockages, dirty thinking about sex. the vow of celibacy in past lives, which blocks people to perform this time, the issues of guilt, and many other problems in sexual performance and so on. So that is one of the offering of the workshop, to first sanitize the person from all this dirtiness and gray zones of sexuality. So we will definitely talk about even the fetish aspect, that people just like certain things. For example, some women that I've been healing, they cannot get wet or stimulated if the nail of the husband is so dirty like that. So they said, oh, I don't want sex. You have to have a nail polish, this and that. So the men sometimes have to follow those rules, where women do not like certain things. Or some men are obsessed with long, straight legs. So even their wives are beautiful, and they're still looking around when they're going to the park. They're looking for legs. So if you look at some men, their eyes are on the legs sometimes, or on the butts, or on the nail. Same with women. Some women are looking for rounded butts of men in the park, or in the airport. They just stare on them, and they're imagining things. So even both men and women have their own fetish, I say, preconditions. Or some women are looking for broad shoulder men and big jaw, thinking they're very strong in sex. Or some men are looking for women with, I would say, a certain kind of walk, like flirtatious and seductive. So there are many things that both men and women are subjected to.
Yes, Master. And in the topic of health, we have a question from Juliana. Are
we being translated, Beatriz?
Yes, Master. Belen is translating
okay.
this time.
Sure. Thank you, Belen.
Thank you, Belen. And so I have the chance to interview you. And one question from Juliana is, if a person that has a sexual disease, let's say a transmitted disease, can
STDs,
they take this? Yes. Can they take this workshop also? Can they heal also through these processes?
Yeah, I think for sexually transmitted diseases like HIV, AIDS, gonorrhea, syphilis, or even herpes types, they need to get healed first before they will go for a lot of sexual energy, because they can transfer this, and their karma is not too good if they transfer this to other people. Not only for their own pleasure, but some sexually transmitted diseases exacerbate when you are sexually aroused, because your sex becomes very red, and it will cause inflammation or other conditions that house the bacteria or the virus to become more amplified. So that's why when I'm healing a lot of people with sexual transmitted diseases, I do suppress a little bit the sexual energy to cool it down, to not awaken, because if you have more arousal and red energy, some of those viruses or infections can be exacerbated. So, well, if they want to attend on in the sake of understanding sexuality as a principle, and to know eventually how to do it safely, and to understand also the role of sexuality in health management and materialization and awakening of consciousness, they can attend. But I would not encourage them to have sex immediately using my techniques, because they might spread more the disease eventually. So they need to be healed. That's why I first emphasize the healing aspect of the workshop before we go and experiment playing with fire, with sexual fire.
Thank you, Master. And also, in the light about longevity, we have also many senior participants here that would like to have a little bit more detail about how the workshop could help them to, boost their youthfulness, feeling younger, or if they have dysfunctional erectile dysfunction, the men, in their older years, how they could improve with the workshop.
Yeah, during the workshop, we have all kinds of exercise, meditation, breathing techniques, and psychology to understand all of our problems as individuals and as a culture also. So we will have actual healing, actual processing, and even actual closures. If you were traumatized sexually or molested or abused, you need to get healed during the workshop, because that alone will be the best benefit for you, because you cannot perform well if you have a lot of traumas, sexual traumas, being molested or abused. You will not be able to transmute the sexual energy, because you will always suppress the energy and shrink rather than expand. So that would be a good thing to do, to, I would say, get healed first in the workshop. So whatever you have, you can bring it as a problem in the workshop, and we will solve it, or we'll put a solution. It is practical, and it is not just theoretical. It has an actual healing component. As you understand our own sexual principles and the many facets of sexual life and sexual energy as a contributor to well-being, to materialization, to manifestation, and so on, you'll be able to get as much teachings that you will expand your life in many ways, in infinite ways, because you will use these techniques and the energy, the sexual energy, to revitalize your bones, your muscles, your hormones, and many other therapeutic benefits of understanding how to flow the energy of the sexual region. It's very practical.
Yes, Master, indeed. I have to give the testimonial. I took the workshop some years ago, and it really helped me. It changed my life and has kept me young and happy.
Yes, because Beatrice also apply a lot of this without a partner or with a partner, because at certain point, to be true to you, there's a time that your partner does not catch up with your development. When they're not able to go to your zip code of new consciousness and development, you started to have less interest on your partner, not because they are bad people, because they do not catch up with your frequency. And when that happens, your frequency is higher than your partner, and your sex energy does not get stimulated by having sex anymore. And that's a problem of incompatibility of sexual energy frequency. So you need to encourage your sexual partners or your spouse to grow with you in frequency, in intelligence, in dynamic spiritual awakening. Because at a certain point, there's a time that you cannot be turned on anymore by your old partner, not because of age, because of frequency incompatibility. And that is really a reality that I've seen in healing people. Even you're still good looking, or the guy is a new boyfriend, good looking, but you don't have as much performance because the sexual energy is dirty on one side and you are clean, and your sexual energy has its own intelligence, not to latch, not to connect, not to merge with the other sexual energy. Your kundalini is more awakened and more advanced and more intelligent. You don't want to have sex with some kundalini that is so dirty and low frequency with entities. It does not match anymore. So you're starting to have losing interest on the other person, not because they did wrong to you, because sexual frequency is not matching anymore. And this is a problem when people do not grow together. And so I would urge people to bring your partner if you can. Oh, they're not ready. You have to get them ready. Otherwise, you'll be out. You'll be in unsync. And also, you will starting to lose interest to have sex, and you will have all the reasons. Well, there's a joke that says, last year I have 365 days a year, but I only have 36 orgasms. Because my partner has so many reasons. 10 reasons is I have a headache. 20 reasons is I'm tired today. 450 reasons is say it's a bad weather today. 30 reasons is I have to wake up early in the morning. So all kind of reasons. And that is a sign that the person is not interested anymore. And so you have to know the vital signs when the energy is starting to set apart your relationship. The alibis will come more and more.
Yes, Master. And we have also more questions for you. People is opening up now more. So one person is asking about swingers or open relations. Do you think that it's okay for regarding to the sexual intimacy to have open relationships? Those that you know.
Can you clarify your questions, Beatrice, please?
Yes, master. So we have a question about having open relationships, which means that there are partners that are accept that the other partner can have sex with other people without breaking up. So is that coming from any dysfunction? Is that okay for a relationship? They are asking that.
Well, it depends on your religion and your beliefs. There are people that I know who have open relationship that they're able to perform partners. So that's an agreement. If you're in Middle East, it's okay to have 4 wives and so on. In India, it's double-sided. There are people who want to be celibates. Some make a one night stand is allowed for some rich people. So since this is a mixed group, I cannot answer one thing that is only absolute. The more evolved you are, the more you have your own principles to follow. And so you follow your principles and make sure that it does not hurt people. As long as it doesn't hurt people and they accept that it's like part of their deals, then it's okay. If you belong to a religion that is monogamous, they have to follow that religion. Because if you belong to that, if you are a polygamous religion, follow that if you believe in it. So, but by standard, anything that can hurt people will be allowed, especially if you do it intentionally.
Yes, master. And also we have a question from another person saying she always gets sexual experiences with when men have always pre-ejaculation. Is that karmic or what? Is she asking?
She has experience with men with pre-ejaculation?
Always she gets that kind of men. And she's asking, is it me? Is my karma or what can we do?
Okay, there are 2 or 3 things why people have pre-ejaculation. In men, a lot of them are very sexually congested on the sex chakra and on the back navel. There's a chakra or energy at the back of the navel that creates the adrenaline. It controls the adrenals and the kidneys, and it's very connected to the sexual energy. When people are very pent up, that energy is congested because the back solar is trapping the energy not to flow. So when people are suppressive in nature and they have sex energy, the sex energy is congested, and so with the back navel, which awakens the adrenals to respond. And it's like having a high trigger, high fire to switch on your orgasm. So some of them have that kind of problem. So when they can inhale and squeeze the perineum and anus less and less energy to trigger their orgasm. So that's one way of doing it. Or they do a lot of hip rolls back and forth before sex, and they will be able to distribute some of the excess energy. Well, it's very awkward that when your partner grabs you and say, let's have sex now, and you're like in the bed and jump into each other, and you say, let me have hip rolls. You have to do that every day so that anytime you're ready, like ever ready kind of love machine. You have to do hip rolls every day so that you do not get congested in the sexual area and the back of your navel. Or you do the squeezing of your perineum every day for both women and men. And then when you're having intimacy, you don't have to stop and say, let me go to the toilet and squeeze my perineum and give me a break for 1 minute, You can always have an excuse. You say, let me use my bathroom and just take a shower, and you squeeze all the way to your techniques. And then in 5 minutes, you're ready for the love. Or you can do the squats also. Squat with breathing, and that's release some of the excess energy. Another thing is some men are very hypersexual mentally, but they do not verbalize their desires. So when you are very mentally imaginative, and always imagining sex. You're just waiting to jump on somebody, and if any time that you have a chance to have sex, you're already thinking that you are already having sex without even physical. And so by the time you have physical touch, you blum, you're finished. So there's a mental part of pre-ejaculation, not only physical and energy congestions. In women also, there are men that makes them arouse easily. Again, it depends on their fetish or their predetermined likes and dislikes. If they really like the feature of the man, like some women are very flirted, seduced by the nice words, sweet words, warm, nurturing voice, and that's to them a foreplay. It's not even the physical gesture of having sex. It's just the nice words, especially women who like good singers or a good voice or very flirtatious conversation. Talking about the sex alone makes them more wet and aroused than if you do the physical act. So there are women that are auditory, I would say foreplay. More men are more visual by looking, by imagining, they're starting to get stimulated. So in women, sometimes you are very, very excited because of the good looks of the man until they open their mouth and talk, and they started to be saying bullshit, all the bad things, and you get turned off. Or men also, they get turned off when women are very demanding and like acting like a man, demanding, like pushing the man to do a lot of things. So that also turns off the men because they think that they're having sex with another man or themselves. So some men do not get turned off by women, turned on like women like that. So it depends on the type. There are 8 types of lovers, and there are many ways to please them. So that's another workshop that I teach, the 8 types of leaders that can connect to sexuality and other things. There are also women that are matched with another man of their types. So when they are aroused easily, the women gets turned on easily and they have faster orgasm or arrival orgasm than sometimes. So it's about alchemy, really, about the admixture of energy that makes people have pleasure or not pleasure.
Yes, Master. We have some women saying also that they are more able to have an orgasm when they are by themselves, if they are, let's say, masturbating, but they cannot have an orgasm with a man. Might it have to be with this lack of alchemy you were talking about?
You mean to say they cannot have orgasm with a man, but they have orgasm during masturbation? Yeah, a lot of women had been used to masturbating since they were young, so they have already a pattern to anticipate the pleasure. They already know when they close their door and go underneath the blanket. They already have imagination that they have already done it so many times. So it's like anticipation is a foreplay in itself. So when women already have the certain kind of corner or a certain part of the bed, a certain pillow, and they took a bath, they already have this imagination, that sequence to have orgasm. So sometimes it's easier to be alone and having a self-pleasure than with a partner whom you have to consider, you have to consider having foreplay with them, and performance anxiety also, especially if you're new and thinking, my God, I did not put an armpit deodorant. My God, I forgot the right. I did only to the left. So all these things are like, oh my God, anxiety, anxiety, anxiety. Oh, I did not wash good enough with the soap. Oh, maybe how do I smell there? So you start into more anxious than anything else. So a lot of the preoccupations of women sometimes, because women also are very sensitive, if they smell the odor of uncircumcised man or the armpit of the other, or somebody went to the bathroom and never washed, all these things, some women are very picky, So when women are very sensitive to odor and to likes and dislikes, they are busy analyzing or judging their partner than having sex. They're mentalizing it, and they're starting to get turned off. They do not get wet easily, and they have an orgasm. Another thing is they have a vow of celibacy, meaning they are programmed not to have sex with men when their past lives were monks and priests and nuns. So they carry over that vow of celibacy, and they're still affected by the fact that they are having a opposite sex having sex with them. I think to them it's like still a vow or a promise. Another thing can be that they do not have a good mixture of energy with the other person. They always attract people who have the same templates. Because if you want a tall, dark, and handsome and stinky or smoking, so people are turned off by certain things. By the way, in terms of the pre-ejaculation earlier, as you mentioned, there are some women whose types are those people. You know, good looking, young. So some of them are still not trained and seasoned as lovers. So if you want young people, they definitely have more sexual releases than older people. Well, of course, if you take an old person who doesn't have any more erection, that's another person also. So you need some tools to augment the performance. Another thing is when women are used to vibrators or tools, and they are very clitorial in orgasm. They just go to the clitoris and the vibrator does the job, and then they have orgasm in just like, say, 2 minutes. With men, maybe the man doesn't know how to satisfy that specific woman, and so they think they're making a very strong thrust and penetration and thinking that's like satisfying the woman. And some women are not satisfied with deep thrusts, with strong, rapid thrusts. They want slow or, seductive movements of pulling in, pulling out slowly, and then rapid movements. And some women do have their own prerequisites. And some men thought from other men that, all you have to do is you have a big penis and you thrust it slow, fast, and do it at 120 RPM, rapid movements per second. And they think that they're like, wow, I'm a macho, I can do it. But some women do not like rapid deep thrusts because they get hurt. So a lot of things has to be an education between the partners. And communication. Communicate what you need. Be open to suggest. The problem is in men who are very conservative, when women start to suggest what they want, they think, oh, from what men did you learn that? Something like that. So they're starting to get scared that, oh my God, you learned a lot. Did you have another partner than me? Why do you suggest one and I don't know? And he knows, there's a lot of suspicion afterward, jealousy. So women do not sometimes suggest because they might be labeled or mislabeled that they took it from another man's strategy. So the husband starting to get insecure. So with also men do not suggest also how the women would say, do the blowjob or something. Because they might say, oh, what do you learn that? Why are you asking me that? So a lot of communication issues. Openness, communicating without suspicion, being, truthful to your own likes and dislikes will probably solve many problems of sexuality.
Yes, Master. We have 2 questions more.
It looks like I am now telling all the workshops. Beatriz, it looks like I'm answering all the questions in the workshop.
Gigantesco, mira, se pusieron plateadas ahora las rayas, mira, que siempre ha sido más la luz.
Blanchi, tu micrófono.
La semana pasada, ¿cómo estuvo? Que era tan gigante con 2 halos de luz alrededor.
No, mira, okay, the last question, because we have already more than an hour, right? Almost an hour.
Ñaña, está en mi oficina. Esto es adentro de la oficina.
Quitar el...
Mira.
A silenciar a Blanchi, por favor.
O sea,
Blanca, tienes que apagar tu micrófono. Gracias. Thank you, Master. Yeah, we have just 2 more questions. I think you're right. We have squeezed you and we really want to go for the workshop also. And we have a question about magic sex spells, also especially here in South America, people do that to, get a lover or to do sex witchcraft. Does that affect people in a real way or a karmic way when they get a sex spell? That's what they are asking.
Magic sex?
Like sex
Clarify.
witchcraft.
Ask it in the right question, Beatriz, in your own words.
I think what she means is if somebody receives witchcraft regarding to sex, meaning that they will curse someone, you know, because jealousy or something will have a karmic effect. That's what I think it's asked.
Okay, there are many people like wife who are bitter because they were persecuted or they were betrayed. They hire a shaman or a witch or a sorcerer to curse the sexual aspect and partnership of future for the other person. And it's true. I see a lot of these curses in Latin America, in Africa, even in parts of Philippines and Asia, including the Chinese. Because when you are bitter, you have a mission to just destroy people's lives afterwards. So they hire a person, or you can also curse by repeating that they should not anymore be happy, that the guy will not anymore find another partner, and he will not have any erection or something like that. So yes, this is also true, because energetically you can heal or you can kill or you can curse. So that is true. You can suppress other people's happiness and future sexuality. When a person is angry, they can curse and they invoke the devil or invoke the demons, something like that. In another way, you can also misuse your power to overpower somebody to have obsession with you. So some people also trick a lot of people to have obsessions with them sexually, because they also do a lot of programming and they use other people to program them to get obsession. That's why I sometimes wonder, how come I saw a lot of very ugly men having very young, beautiful women? Not because of their money, because they just love their relationship. Because I think some old men have the ability to not only charismatically appeal in terms of their Lamborghini or their good house and their good looks in terms of their dress, but they also have the power in their past lives to decree. So they can say, I like that woman, you know, that woman will be mine, like that. There's a story about Marcos, President Marcos before, the old Marcos. When he saw Imelda Marcos the first time, he was already a senator, a congressman, and Imelda was a beauty queen. He said, that woman will be my wife. Definitely, I will marry her in the next month or something. He kept on saying that whenever he sees Imelda, and Imelda became his wife after 1 month. So any strong person, when they decree, sometimes without saying that if it is good for my whole life, they sometimes get what they want, and sometimes in their own likes, they can decree. So that's also a spell. So you have to be careful what you say. I want a tall, dark, and handsome spell, and you keep on looking for that, and you get people even though with vices and big debts. So you have to be careful what you decree, because you will be enamored and obsessed with that kind of profile, even though it's not good for you anymore when you're older. You can have a short, ugly, and sweet and rich than a tall, dark, and handsome and bankrupt, you know?
Yes,
you have to
Master.
change the features of your likes and dislikes as you grow older. If when you mature, you need somebody as a life companion who will help take care of yourself together and who has enough substance of contents to discuss life, and who is going to protect you and watch your back when you're in trouble, who's going to give you not only comfortable life, a stable existence, you know? So some people have to re-engineer their desires and preferences to match their maturity. You know, when you're more mature, your priorities are changing to a more stable life as you grow older, not just the romance, not just the sex.
Yes, Master, thank you. The last question, I think, is before the raffle. Maybe you can just say it quickly. It's about using the sexual alchemy to bring more advanced children. Can you tell us more about that? Thank you.
Yeah, the most advanced use of sexual energy is not just procreation. It is really the conception of a more advanced human being so that they will continue your lineage to advance your legend and your work. So if you can conceive a more advanced child than you, far more advanced than you have done your job in this incarnation. Because they will continue the things you have not done. They will lead projects that are of human development and world development. And this is what's missing. This is what's missing in religion. They do not advocate the advancement of the human race and the world at large by putting the idea that you can conceive a more advanced soul, not just a normal human being. It's not just to procreate and have children. That's done by even animals and dogs and pigs. It's not enough to procreate. You have to have an idea that this world today is in bad shape because of not the excess of bad men and women. It is the lack of powerful, good people. The lack of powerful, good people who will fight for the right and justice and fairness. Lack of powerful, good people is the problem. We have more bad people who are powerful than good, powerful people. That is the problem of today. So if we can conceive many children who are more advanced, who become saints and masters and leaders of the future humanity, to bring a new kind of life that promotes evolutionary principles rather than these stupid things that breaks down society, then the world will be a safe place to live. Ecuador will not be a haven of drug lords and drug smugglers and bad politicians and bad business people. You will have to replace the concept of Ecuador being a victim of drug lords and cartels and all kinds of bad things and bad leaders. You need to have a substitute for those leaders by having a very advanced soul child. Even 10 of them in Ecuador will make a big difference. See, Sodom and Gomorrah was a story in the Bible that it says that if there's only 7 good disciples in Sodom and Gomorrah, the place will be saved. But there was not enough even to bring light back to Sodom and Gomorrah. That's why it sank. So if there's even 10 advanced children who will become the advanced leaders to replace the children of those oligarchs, the children of those bad politicians who will become the next mayor, the next president, because they are grooming them to replace them when they're old. The dynasties, political dynasties. We need to substitute them, but we need to have advanced children to be powerful enough to combat the evil and the demonic aspect of these leaders. We don't have a substitute. That's why whom do we elect next election? The bad choices, because they're the only choices in the world. We need to bring powerful, advanced, good children who will be the next generation of leaders. This world needs them a lot. And through sexual alchemy and divine intimacy, we can facilitate that in couples to bring a more advanced child than themselves.
Master,
so you come and attend the workshop. These are all benefits.
Yes, Master. Thank you so much for your time. I know we have passed some of the announced time, and I think we have a raffle.
Okay, I will make your raffle a book. You can go to the website and win a book online. Okay, you can win the Sexual Alchemy book if you want. Okay, what number? I will put in our computer draw.
Okay, ¿quién será el ganador? And the winner is... is Evelio. Evelio Cuenca.
¿Ah? Evelio Cuenca?
Yes, ¿estás ahí, Evelio?
Okay, Evelio
Bravo.
Cuenca is the winner. Okay, can you share yourself?
Evelio, tienes que aparecer, si no, no te lo llevas. Aparece.
Are you single or married or sometimes available?
It's with Juliana. It's with Juliana. He has good luck.
Or sometimes available. Okay. All right. Anyway, Good luck to everyone. I hope to see you during the workshop. Let's enjoy ourselves. It's one of the paths that you can evolve very fast while enjoying your life. Sexual energy has to be enjoyed rather than feared, rather than to have a taboo about it. It has to be part of God's plan, because how can we incarnate without sexual energy? That's the first question. So you cannot be as bad, because if there's no sex, you are not here. Good luck to everyone. See you soon. August 19, 2021. If you cannot attend live, you can always attend the broadcast afterwards. And we have also the third eye initiation retreat. If you want to come here to the village and be in person, or you can attend us online. It will be August 26 to September 4. That is third eye initiation, one of the more advanced class that I offer in the ashram. And for those who want to get healing for their loved ones, September 3 will be the tele-healing, our group healing every month, September 3. And last is the self-mastery program for leader of leaders. Those who want to be leader of leaders, if you know anyone, executives, managers, leaders, who want to be leader of leaders through the spiritual awakening of life, I have them on October 15 to 24. October 15 to 24 in person, and then or online afterwards. So these are all things that you can participate to be calibrated, to be equipped with tools, with principles, with techniques, and your healing. All right, good luck. Namaskar. Thank you, Beatrice. Thank you, Belen. And those who have invited your friends. Namaskar.
Thank you so much, Master. And see you very soon in the workshop. And para todos ustedes que están ahí, Walter, thank you, Master. We have a prerequisite, which is studying the Visual Science Basic. We can just do it in the next 2 days. So I urge you to be with us and talk to whoever invited you here. Talk to me, talk to our team, so you can get this prerequisite ready, right, Master? Because we need people to be
if you can take the basic class of healing, because you need to heal yourself during the class. You need to understand the energy forms, the aura, the chakras. Because if you want to know the 5 levels of orgasm, you need to know how the chakras work, and where do you bring the energy of pleasure, and what are the entities of pleasure. So these are all required to be understood before the class, so that you can benefit, or even at least 2 modules to start with. Enroll and get the basic of the energy anatomy, where the techniques are based on them. All right, talk to Beatrice, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, Master. Thank you. I also want to say that we have the book of Master. Ahora que estoy en español, quiero agradecer a todos quienes han estado aquí, invitado a sus seres queridos. Este es el libro que se ganó Evelio. Está en español, está traducido al español, así que se puede obtener en la página masterrelp.com. En shopping pueden descargarlo. Quienes quieren realmente tener la ventaja de estar en vivo con Master Relp, este curso no se ha dado en vivo antes por muchos años. Tenerlo a él dando la clase, contestando preguntas en una sanación, mientras hacemos esto cada día, es algo que básicamente no tiene precio. Así que te invito a llevar las buenas noticias de que esto está disponible. Hay planes de pago con tarjeta de crédito, y como dice él, puedes enrolarte con nosotros, puedes escribirle a quien te invitó, a mí directamente, para que te inscribamos en empezar el curso Visual Science. No tienes que verlo todo como él dijo, pero que están los módulos más importantes para que luego realmente puedas entender el curso de alquimia sexual, y luego puedes terminarlo, pero con el beneficio tan importante de también realmente saber sobre sanación. La sanación y el acondicionamiento interno a nivel emocional, mental, espiritual, va muy de la mano. Esto no es una clase de sexología, es una clase de alquimia sexual, de sexo sagrado, de intimidad divina. Así que va muy bien de la mano con eso. Estamos por cerrar la sala, pero no me quiero ir sin nuevamente felicitarlos y felicitarlas. Thank you, Walter. You are the man. Evelio, a todos los caballeros que se han juntado, los que verán esta grabación, no se pierdan la oportunidad de esto. Algunas preguntas se nos quedaron fuera, pero sin duda por el WhatsApp, ahí estoy dejando mi número. Otras sanadoras pueden también dejar su número. Pueden contactarnos por WhatsApp para poder contestar. Si me preguntan cuántos meses se puede pagar, al menos un par de meses, o puedes a tu misma tarjeta de crédito pedirle que te haga un plan, puedes pedir un mini crédito. Realmente los aconsejo, y hay un descuento también para parejas, hay un descuento significativo para parejas, así que pueden contactarse con nosotros. Así que quiero con esto despedirme. Muchísimas gracias a Belén que tradujo hoy. Gracias a Yuli que estuvo también conectada, mostrando, aquí haciendo presencia, y a todos los que también han aparecido, estuvo Johanna, Jessica, Edison, Walter y todos los que nos acompañan también, que siguen conectados. Un abrazo grande y muchas bendiciones para todos.
Gracias, Bea. Chao a todos, gracias.
Y ya saben, esto no es solo para casados, esto es para solteros, o para célibes, o para personas solas. Tenemos que seguir adelante cultivando nuestra energía. Muchas bendiciones.
Gracias, gracias, Beatriz.
Con mucho gusto.
Gracias, gracias.